This is the Kingsley Motivation Podcast with your host, Christopher Kingsley. Who am I? There's a lot of questions, but I'm sure that's the very first one that comes to your mind. Who is this Christopher Kingsley who's deciding to start a podcast, start YouTube videos, that sort of thing? I'll go ahead and give you a brief description of myself. I am 31 years old. I live in Arizona, and I graduated at Arizona State University. Go Sun Devils! Um, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in secondary education to become a math teacher. I did that for 3.5 years and realized it wasn't my thing. I enjoyed teaching the mathematics. I enjoyed my students. I just did not enjoy the politics and everything surrounding being a teacher there. A lot of stress in that environment. That was in December of 2017. And from December 2017 up until about August 2019, I did lots of different odd jobs. I did construction. I dabbled in truck driving for a little bit, and I also did Uber and Lyft for a little bit just to supply income. And my current role right now is that I work as a phone associate with an investment company, and I really am enjoying it there. I love my work there that I do. Um, and I'm also wanting a little bit more out of life, though. And that's kind of the reason for this podcast. One thing that I do want to mention right off the bat is that I am a Beachbody coach. And for those of you who don't know what Beachbody is, most of you probably have heard of the program P90X and probably any other programs surrounding that, T25, Insanity, that sort of thing. And you don't need to worry about that with me, is that I'm not going to be forcing Beachbody down your throat or anything. I'm just letting you know I'm a Beachbody coach. So on these podcasts, I'm most likely going to say what I'm doing, what types of exercises I'm doing, tips, tricks, that sort of thing. And just to let you know, for as far as supporting the podcast, that's going to be my number one method as far as supporting the podcast is the Beachbody coach. So I just want to throw that all out there for the time being, as far as, because there will be questions if people are going to say, hey, how can we support the podcast? If you feel so inclined, again, you don't have to, because I'm putting this out there for other reasons than just wanting to earn an income from this. One of the biggest questions as far as making something like this, making a podcast, is, well, what is the purpose of it? Why are you creating a podcast? Why are you putting yourself out on YouTube? There is someone that I follow. His name is Jocko Willink, and he has a podcast called the Jocko Podcast. The podcast has been going since 2016, and he's still going strong today. Really, really, really recommend his podcast to people. I was watching a clip of him on YouTube, and one of the things that he was mentioning was, he said, how do you find, the question that was asked of him was, how do you find motivation to do things? And one of his responses was, put yourself out there. Put yourself out in the open, publicize it, tell people about it. And again, whether that means, post about it on Facebook, post about it on, create an accountability group or something, put yourself out there so that other people know what is going on. And I felt that for me, one ways to be accountable to other people is to put myself out there in the form of video and audio. So obviously so you can listen to this on podcast, on Apple, Spotify, wherever you can download podcasts, and also on YouTube as well. So that is the primary reason, is for accountability. Now, as far as accountability goes, I also want to help motivate you all in 3 different areas. I want to motivate you in the area of finances, in the area of fitness, and in the area of mindset. So, on top of being accountable to the people watching this video or people listening to the podcast, as far as me saying, this is what I did this week, because that's the point, is to put out a podcast a week, video a week, just to say, this is what I did. And so here's the reason why I decided to pick these three topics. It's because I have a background story with each one, and I also have overcame and I've also won at these three things. So let's start off with finances. Um, I was not that great at finances. I racked up a lot of debt. And it depends on what you mean by a lot of debt. In with many people's situations, I racked up roughly about somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 worth of debt, and that was roughly about $9,000 worth of credit cards and about 22,000 ish of student loans. And I wasn't wise with my money. I didn't spend my money well, and I came across a person. Some of you know him, some of you don't know him. His name is Dave Ramsey, and he really has changed my life around. And when I was dating my current wife now, I told her about this program. She was totally on board with it. And since we got married, and that was in March of 2017, the um, the biggest thing that we accomplished together was paying off all the debt. We also saved up a 3-month emergency fund, and we also have now saved almost $6,000 right now for a down payment for a home. So it's been amazing not having any debt. It's been amazing to not have any payments outside of your normal bills, of course, the rent and that sort of thing. I mean, we still have that, but I mean, everyone has those. But we haven't had to live paycheck to paycheck, for quite a while. And that is one area that I really want to help motivate you guys in, just let you guys know how my journey is going with being debt free and motivating you to also be part of the journey with us as well regarding that. The second area that I wanted to help motivate you all in was in the area of fitness. Fitness is different is different for many people. You have people that are like, you know what, going on a walk is totally okay, and that's totally cool. There are other people that decide to take it to a whole nother level, whether that means that they're professional athletes or Olympians or that sort of thing. And that's good for them. The biggest thing that you need to find out within yourself is what type of fitness really, what types of exercises really help you. The thing for me is that I'm a very intense person. So when it comes to workouts, a regular run, a regular jog, for me is not intense enough. I need to do something where it's like, okay, I need to do different movements. I need to experience, you know, this, and I need to do that, and I enjoy lifting weights, and lifting weights is probably my favorite types of exercises. But when it comes to like cardio, a simple running on the treadmill or on the elliptical machine or anything like that really just doesn't really help me that much. I prefer more agility things like jumping, um, moving, in dynamic ways, um, high intensity interval training, or HIIT, HIIT. I prefer more that type of cardio because it's, like I mentioned before, it's dynamic and you move in so many different directions. And by the end of it, you're tired, or at least I'm tired anyway. And I prefer that because when I'm totally exhausted, definitely helps me sleep better at night. And um, and that's another thing that I'm going to be accountable for is talking about the time, how many times I've exercised this week, what I did, and you most likely will hear about the Beachbody products and that sort of thing coming from there. So just to let you know, full for disclosure, I'm going to be mentioning that.